This is a scary story about Back to Back. There were two girls named Mia and Ashley. They had been best friends for a while. They go to the same college, and they dormed together. Mia slept on the top bunk, and Ashley slept on the bottom. One night, Mia came home from class, and Ashley was not there. She tried to call her, but she didn't pick up. She looked around the room and realized all her stuff was still there. Mia began to worry. She kept sending messages saying, "Please call me, are you okay?" But there was no reply. The next morning, Ashley was still not there. Mia constantly called Ashley's phone and texted her saying, "Where are you? I'm really worried. Please answer me." That night, Mia got a text from Ashley saying back to back. Mia was confused and she didn't understand. Mia then suddenly smelled a very putrid odor. She tore apart the whole room, and when she checked the bottom bunk and looked up, she let out a scream. She was face to face with Ashley's dead body. It turned out somebody broke into their dorm and murdered Ashley and hid her body by strapping it underneath the top bunk. And Mia was sleeping next to her friend's dead body the whole time. This is the most scary and dangerous animal to ever live on Earth. This is Titanoboa. This is an ancient snake that lived over 58 million years ago. And according to scientists, for nearly 10 million years, it was the largest predator on the planet. Titanoboa's length was 43 feet long, and its weight was well over a ton. This snake was so big that you can lay 2 giraffes on the ground and Titanoboa will still be longer. If you still can't comprehend how big this snake was, on the left is a vertebrae of an anaconda, which is the biggest snake on the planet right now, and on the right is the vertebrae of Titanoboa. It is so much more bigger than the anacondas. Titanoboa was 3 feet in width, and Titanoboa can swallow a hippopotamus whole. Titanoboa was a bloodthirsty predator who ate everything in water and land. Everybody on Earth is super lucky Titanoboa is not around anymore. Scary movies that we all saw as kids that terrified us. This is the movie Monster House. The movie is about 3 friends named DJ, Chowder, and Jenny, who discover that DJ's neighbor's house is actually a living, breathing, scary monster who eats innocent children and people. The house is owned by a scary and evil old man named Cracker. DJ, Chowder, and Jenny make it their mission to destroy the house so no more innocent people get eaten. But it turns out that the house is haunted and possessed by Cracker's wife, Constance, who died in the basement by getting covered in cement. This movie is extremely creepy and scary, and it's definitely one of my favorite animated scary movies ever. If you want to watch this movie now, it's actually on Netflix. But I must say, after watching this movie, you might have a hard time sleeping. This is the untold truth about the lost SpongeBob episode. 5 teenagers found the episode's tape behind an abandoned building in the dumpster. Of those 5 teenagers, 2 have committed suicide and 1 had mysteriously gone missing. The other 2 refused to comment on the tape. This image is taken from the episode. SpongeBob is standing in a darkened room and his eyes are bloodshot and he looks like he's about to cry. After about 10 seconds, he blinks and then his hand reaches for a bottle of pills. Then horrible screams of children start to be heard very loudly. Then it all goes silent. SpongeBob then takes the cap off the pills and pours all the pills into his mouth. The screen then gets darker and SpongeBob clutches his stomach and falls to the ground. A liquid then starts coming out of his mouth. He then pukes all over himself and lies on the floor dead and motionless. The current whereabouts of the tape are unknown, and most people who watched it are dead. The only thing that remains from the lost episode is this image of SpongeBob right here. This is the creepy story about the daughter. There was a mother who had a 5-year-old daughter named Kate. The little girl had a constant habit of asking her mom if she was pretty. The mother always replied, "Of course you're pretty," even though she was tired of answering the same question. One day the mother took her daughter down for a walk by the river. Kate then stared into the water and asked her mom if she was pretty. The mother was so annoyed with answering the same question, she lost her temper and in a blind rage, she pushed her own daughter into the river. The little girl was unable to swim, and within moments she sunk to the bottom and died. When the mother realized what she did, she was overcome with regret. However, she did not want to go to jail and told the police that Kate slipped and fell into the water. A few years later, she got pregnant and gave birth to another child. She named her Kate to honor her dead daughter. One day, the mother found the little girl staring at herself in the mirror. "Mommy, do you think I'm pretty?" said Kate. "Of course you're pretty," replied the mother. The little girl then looked up at her mother and said, "If you thought I was so pretty, then why did you push me into the river?" Scary movies that we all saw as kids that terrified us, Part 2. This is the movie Caroline. It's about an 11-year-old girl named Caroline Jones and her parents, who move into an old mansion. Caroline then meets a kid named Wybie, who gives her a button-eyed rag doll, which looks exactly like her. Caroline then finds a small door in her living room, which can only be unlocked by a button-shaped key. After she unlocks it and goes in, she enters a completely different world and meets her other mother and father with buttons as eyes. Caroline then keeps going to this different world. The other mother then wants Caroline to stay in this world forever, but she has to get buttons sewed on her eyes. But Caroline does not want to do that and she wants to leave. Her other mother then transforms into a menacing, scary version of herself. The other mother then kidnaps Caroline's real parents, and this is where the movie gets crazy. So, if you've never seen this movie, I recommend go watching it right now. Spine-tingling photos taken just before tragedy, part 7. This is the Concorde crash. Moments after takeoff, one of the plane's engines caught on fire, causing the plane to crash into a nearby hotel. This killed 113 people. A local Philippine politician took this picture of his family during New Year's Day in 2011, also capturing the picture of the hired gunman sent to kill him. Right after this picture was taken, the man was shot in the head and died. This father stares at the hand and foot of his 5-year-old daughter. They were cut off as punishment for the father failing to make the daily rubber quota. On 9/11/2001, this man decided to jump out of the World Trade Centers because he was trapped on his floor and did not want to burn to death. He wasn't the only one to jump and take his own life that day. This picture is truly disturbing and sad. This is the scary story about the pet snake. There was a woman who bought a pet snake. It was a 12-foot-long Burmese python. She lived alone with her son in a very small house. The woman always let the snake roam around on its own because she felt bad of keeping such a big snake in a tank. Her son liked this because he always played with the snake. One day, the woman was cleaning dishes when she looked out the window and saw her son playing with the snake. She smiled and kept cleaning the dishes. A couple minutes later, she looked out the window again, and what she saw made her freeze. Her son was being eaten by the snake, and all she saw was her son's feet sticking out of the snake's mouth, shaking uncontrollably. Scary facts that will keep you up at night, part 4. It is said that you eat 8 spiders in your sleep every single year. Everybody better start sleeping with their mouths closed and pray that a spider did not lay any eggs in your body. 1981 was the last year in which the United States did not have a school shooting. This is a very sad fact, but also a very true one. Domino's ended their 30 minutes are free promise after a delivery driver hit a woman and did not stop to check on her so he could get the pizza delivered on time. If the sun exploded right now, everybody on Earth wouldn't know about it for 8 minutes and 20 seconds because the explosion will be traveling at the speed of light, and that's how much time it would take for the explosion to reach Earth. These are the most scariest planets to ever exist, part 1. This is Korat 7b. This planet's atmosphere is filled with minerals that form rock clouds. This means on this planet it rains rocks. Also on one side of this planet, it constantly faces a star, and the temperature is 3600 degrees. This is HD 189733b, and this planet is extremely deadly. The wind on this planet reaches speeds of 5400 miles per hour. And if that's not scary enough, it also rains glass on this planet. So imagine getting hit by a piece of glass coming at you over 5,000 miles per hour. This is Tress 2b. This is the darkest planet in the whole universe. This planet's atmosphere absorbs 99% of the light it receives from the sun. It's so dark on this planet that if you held your hand out in front of you, you wouldn't even be able to see it. Also, the temperature on this planet is over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the scary story about the bedroom light. There were 2 girls who were best friends and roommates in college. One night they were staying up late, studying for a test they had the next day. One of the girls was pretty lazy and decided to stop studying and go to bed. The other girl was a hard worker and stayed up late studying. During the night, the girl who stayed up remembered that she left one of her books in her room. She didn't want to wake up her roommate by turning on the light, so she snuck in and tiptoed around in the darkness. When she got in the room, she heard heavy breathing and whispered her friend's name to see if she was awake. There was no answer. Then the girl heard something move in the darkness. She then whispered, "Can I turn on the bedroom light?" There was no answer. Eventually, she found the book she was looking for and made her way out of the dark room. The next day in class, the girl noticed her roommate never showed up for the test. She then got worried and went to go check on her. When she knocked on her bedroom door, there was no answer. So she just opened the door. She then saw her roommate dead on the floor, and written on the wall in her blood was, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" This is the scary story about the basketball. There was a boy who went to a park to play basketball. The court was empty and he was excited to have it to himself. Suddenly a man came and started shooting around. The man's ball was flat and asked the boy if he could play with him. The boy said yes. They shot around together for a while when suddenly the boy's ball went flat. The man then said, "Don't worry, I have a ball in my trunk, go and get it." The boy reluctantly said okay. When he got to the man's car and opened the trunk, he froze in horror. There were countless young boys' severed heads in the trunk, just sitting in blood. When the boy looked up, the man was sprinting at him. The man then began to chase the boy, but the boy was much faster and he got away, and he then called the police. The police found the man and searched his car, and found 8 severed heads of missing boys, with no bodies anywhere. The police then told the boy, "You were going to be next if you didn't get away." Creepy photos that will give 99% of you chills, part 5. The red car in this photo exploded immediately after this photo was taken. Everyone in the image, including the photographer, died from the explosion. This carefree photo was taken by a 15-year-old boy named Gary Slock. He was sitting right next to his mother, as they were aboard the Malaysian Airlines MH17. The plane was never seen again, and not one person knows what happened. This is the photo of a starving child crawling towards the United Nations feeding center, while the vulture patiently waits for the child to die so he can have his next meal. A photographer accidentally captured the moment a person was jumping to their death off a bridge in China.